Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there. I apparently am echoey as fuck today because I'm in a new location and the acoustic panels aren't up yet.
No, you're supposed to tell everybody that you're in a hidden bunker and you're trying to keep away from the insert whatever villain you want it to be here.
Okay.
The Hovens!
My neighbors. Did you take a peek at that video that I sent you of the setup that I'm using tonight?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I actually legitimately considered streaming on my laptop amongst a pile of boxes right next to where the modem is, instead of that crazy run of cables that I have coming over here.
Thank you for the hydrate stuff.
Yeah, clueless expert says I'm in an undisclosed location hiding from Trump's Canada invasion. As if. That is not going to happen. That is just that's the same as Trump's wall. He's probably going to like issue a tariff of some kind and it's going to kind of peter out and fizzle out or whatever, and he'll say, yeah, I basically invaded Canada with that tariff.
Yep, and then people are going to use that as evidence in the future of, oh, well, Trump didn't really do the things that he said he was going to do. And it's like, look, if the dude is a known liar, we are going to take that. But if a known liar aims a gun at you, you still expect that the gun is loaded.
I'm not going to assume it's not loaded just because he lies.
Exactly.
You should use the blue screen or the green screen to make it show off your new location. Yeah, okay, well, the wall behind me is a uniform enough color that I could probably do that, but then I put on a sweater that matches it accidentally, so whoopsies. Yeah, no, I'm in a new house. This is your first peek at the new studio. Ain't it impressive? It's great.
Yay.
This isn't even the new studio. This is the new temporary studio.
Yeah, it is the area where he's shoved a desk at a wall and thrown his computers on the ground.
Yeah. If I move my feet in slightly the wrong direction, the stream could go down. Because that's how my cables are at the moment. And yeah, so y'all were asking about the technical difficulties for tonight. Oh, fuck, hats. The hats are in a box somewhere. I'm sorry.
Well, no hats today.
If one of my mods could turn that one off.
I guess you could say hats off to
Fine
you.
Z hats. Yeah, you could. I think I see there might be one sticking out of this box. Okay.
Alpha Mario, thank you for resubscribing.
I can do a hat tonight. I can do a hat. I got you. I got you stuff.
Gideon Wells, thank you for giving out a community sub as well. I appreciate it. And Lunar Muse and Fennec, thank you both for subscribing as well as Trashomancer. Fuck. Okay, well.
Nefarious Name of Doom says, put a box on your head. Yeah, no, they've all got stuff in them still, because we're bad at unpacking.
Yeah, but if you put the box on your head, then it's a noted improvement.
I mean, I have been told that I look like Matt Walsh, so yeah. Artemis says, you moved? Yes, I moved. Moved away from neighbors who like to bully my children.
Merrick Band says, I don't know, I like echoey Rhino.
Yeah, well, is this more or less echoey than when I was literally in the bathtub?
It's about the same.
Okay.
It's about the same. Oh,
which that actually speaks volumes to how terrible this room is, because I was using a shit mic for that, whereas this is a good mic.
Speaking of echoey audio, so I had a friend of mine who came over recently, and we were calling on Discord, trying to get plans set up and everything, figure all that shit out. And as soon as we got on Discord, the first thought I had was, Jesus Christ, your audio quality is horrible. And so he's sitting here trying to fix everything. It's using AirPods, and AirPods are also horrible. But he's sitting there trying to fix everything, and he's like, damn, everybody I talk to says they sound fine, though. And I just had to take a moment to go, wait, hold on. Does your audio sound awful, or am I listening for content creator audio?
Yeah, that's happened to me. My partner is doing her school has been remote, And so there have been a few times where she's had to like set up stuff and record things or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, we can set up the Go XLR and we can run a loop back thing in software so that you can record the audio at the highest quality from Zoom or whatever. Because like and then it turned out like, no, I just need to like put my phone on a tripod and hit record, and then whatever it gets is good enough. I'm like, okay, then why are you asking me for help? I'm the YouTuber guy. Anyway. Technical difficulties. So this is where my brain has been today. So I moved on Monday. Yesterday was first full day in the house. And so today this is only really my second day in the house. Mm-hmm. As I was setting up that light there, this light, I spent a good 3 minutes screwing the 1/4-inch tripod stand thingamajiggy into the power jack, wondering why the fuck it's not going in. Because the barrel jack on the power for this light is about the size of a 1/4-inch threaded insert. And so I was just like screwing it onto the power jack, going like, why the fuck is this not going in? And then eventually I was like, why? Wait, there's like a little pokey thing in the middle of this threaded insert. What? That's not. Oh, that's the power jack. Okay. And then I found where you actually screw it on, and I was done in 30 seconds. So
look, we all get used to our setups as we've had them built, and then whenever we have to do any kind of changing to them, there's like that moment of panic of shit, what does this do? Shit, what does that do? Shit, what is that supposed to do? It just kind of melds into the back of your brain.
So most of my stuff was actually pretty plug and play. Yeah, like all my network just worked out of the box when I set it up here. And that includes the guy from Bell had to give me a new modem, despite the fact that my modem is fine. She's like, nope, gotta set up the new one. Like, okay, can you take the old one? Nope. What do I do with it? I don't know. Maybe they'll send you a box and you send it back in the box. Okay.
Maybe.
Damn, spent about 3 minutes trying to screw the wrong hole. That is basically the story that I told, yes. And then I was done in 30 seconds when I found the right one.
Is it the wrong hole?
Ain't it always
though?
the way?
Is it the wrong hole if it worked?
As long as it didn't work. That was the problem. And if I know better than to try lube with my electronics.
Now you could use mineral oil.
You can, but I'd rather not.
Oh, that's you problem.
I did have a dream of building a mineral oil PC at one point in my life. Knowing what I know now about how good I am at maintaining special interest habits like that, it's very good that I did not. But I still think that would have been fun. Anyway, YouTube chat, be on the lookout for Progress Only when they come back. We have some announcements regarding Progress Only.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But I don't want to blow that load without them in the chat.
Good.
They did say they were coming. They were just going to be late.
They're coming?
They're coming, so I can
go.
Good.
It starts with sorry.
Oh. That was supposed to be Tucker Carlson doing the "You've been a bad girl."
Instead, it starts with sorry.
Yeah, no, that's the Go XLR is the thing that's not plug and play. I'm so used to things just saving as you go that the fact that you have like every time you change something about your profile, you have to hit save. I never do that, and so I haven't saved it in months, and so I have old ones.
What are we even talking about?
Okay, Progress Only is in the chat. Progress Only was sworn in the other day.
Hell yeah.
And they've already passed the first resolution or something, or whatever it is they passed. They passed a thing that is going to provide like warm space for unhoused people to come in and warm up at night and provide other resources for them. So it's like immediately sworn in, doing good stuff. Awesome work.
Good shit.
Congratulations and keep up the good work. Love it.
I'm going to go ahead and spoil something from the video the essay I'm working on. I've got two chapters.
You've done this on every stream since you started working on it.
Yes, I have, because I need to let this out somewhere. Damn it. The good news is that I've been recording a chapter every day now, and I'm almost, as far as I'm concerned, I'm almost done, because once everything's recorded and sent over to Cherry, I sit back and I just wait until I'm told the audio on this was bad, try it again, and otherwise I'm good to just sit back and be okay. But there is a moment where I talk about solutions to our medical crisis in the end of the video, and one of the solutions is unironically write the fucking laws yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can write a proposition and send it into a person in Congress, that multiplies the likelihood that the thing that you are wanting to happen actually fucking happens.
Yeah, a million times. And we've seen from the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene can draft laws that anyone can do it.
If she can draft a law...
I mean, she's only done it like twice.
Still, irrespective of how likely her laws are to get passed, if she can draft a law, you can draft a law. If somebody with a reading comprehension so astronomically low that she thinks that space lasers are ripping across California and she can't read a single thing that tells her otherwise, unless it's on a fucking QAnon website, you can write a fucking law.
Naramdaputs brings up a good point. She has staff, though. But, like, do you think her staff is any more literate than she is?
I did not need to know that she had that. That should be between her and her doctor.
I mean, given the new House rules, she might not... Like, yeah, if depending on the nature of that staff. Whatever.
So she has staff, and you have two tools.
We were thinking of different kinds of staff.
Yeah, I was thinking of an infection.
I was like, this is a joke about something that turned really sad really fast, so I'm just ending it. Like, nope, staph infection. Okay, I could go with that.
Yeah, it's staph infection.
Okay.
But, you know, it's kind of weird to have a staph infection on a tumor, but here we are. She's an infection in Congress, and she has an... Anyway. Joke's getting far too layered for my taste, and it's the equivalent of a fart joke at the end of the day. But you have two tools available to you that you can use. One, every single bill that's ever been drafted is available for public viewing. That you just go to your congress.gov website, or for me, it's like congress.ga.gov. You can look in there and you can see every bill that's been drafted in the last ever. And you can look at the language and parlance of those bills. And if you feel like you are not good enough to write one of those bills, fun challenge. Look at the parlance of one of those bills and then generate one of those bills with AI. Look at how that bill is written in AI and go, huh, that looks really stupid. I could do better. And trust me, you can.
Do it with Grok AI, though, just so you can cost Elon some money.
Fair.
Because none of the AIs are making any money at this point. Like, did you see OpenAI is like... They've got a $200 a month tier, and they're saying that that's losing the money because people are using it too much, so they're looking at, like, having an even more expensive tier.
Yeah, problem is,
like...
all of those... Every single tech industry thing in the last 20 years has been that way, though. They all operate at a loss until they can try to monopolize an area.
Yeah. Well, the problem is everybody's got their own AI thing now, and they all suck. So, yeah, you can monopolize the suck all you want. Like, literally the only useful thing I have ever used ChatGPT for was writing auto hotkey scripts, and about half the time, actually more than half the time, the script did not work until I had to debug it a little bit. So, like, it's like, it would write a base for me if I didn't have any idea of how to go about doing something. And then it'd be like, okay, well, I can tweak these last few things that it doesn't fucking know what it's doing in order to actually make it work. And that's the only useful thing that AI has ever done in my life. Oh, I lie. I use it to generate just kind of nothing backgrounds for my thumbnails when I did my own thumbnails. And that is like, that's not something that I require AI for. I'm just lazy.
Fair.
Like, if you look at my what are you doing with your model? Why are you
I don't know.
You're leaving your frame.
So I had a game open and I just exited the game, and apparently entering and exiting the game changed my monitor resolution.
Yeah, it does that sometimes.
That's what happens when a game's 20 years old, I guess. Let me get back in frame. Oh, that's why it went back in frame. It put me in 4x3. That's why it fucked up. Because the game's old and in 4x3.
My favorite are the ones that don't know what to do with dual monitor setups. So like you got the game full screen on your main monitor, but then your second monitor is like got half of your main monitor's background on it.
This game does that. Command and Conquer General 0 Hour does that. Its maximum resolution caps out at like 1400 something, which is under 720p.
So Neuromdipus says, see, experienced programmers already know what they want to code and just look up the API for the function name. Don't fact check that. Yeah, so fun. The Pirate Software recently put out a short that I felt like it was a personal attack on me because he was like, oh, well, people say they use AI for the code. Well, here's what I usually find is the case with that. If you do it yourself, you spend 1 hour writing code and 1 hour debugging that code. And if you get the AI to write the code, you spend 1 minute writing code and 3 hours debugging code. And somehow these people are still telling me it's a good idea. I'm like, okay, maybe if you're writing real things, that's how it works. But it's fine for my auto hotkey scripts. It's like for me, I'd have to spend 3 hours learning how to do the thing, to which Pirate Software, being the proponent of education that he is, would be like, good, you learned a thing. Whereas me, I'm just like, but I don't want to know that thing. I just want that thing to happen.
Yeah, that's where I am on most things. So once upon a time when I was, in high school, any skill I could possibly learn that helped me do a task would be fantastic. Not just because I could actually retain those skills back then. I have a much harder time retaining them after I learned them now.
Yeah.
But a huge problem that I ran into now is that I'll learn a skill to the point where it solves the problem for me, and then it'll promptly get memory hold.
Mm-hmm.
After I'm done. Also, Ralton, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it.
So people in chat are mentioning it, so I should probably bring it up. This is not one of our news items tonight, but Justin Trudeau resigned.
I saw that. I have no context for it.
Neither do I. As far as I can tell, it was just like infighting amongst the Liberal Party. Like there was no scandal. There was no he did something horribly, horribly wrong and is now resigning because of it. It was just like politicking. So it was like, okay. Justin Trudeau resigned on the day that I moved, which happened to be January 6th. So many things happening on January 6th.
I have no actual opinion on Justin Trudeau other than that, like, the right wing hates him, and I'm told that liberals are supposed to hate him as well for things.
So the way I've always kind of seen him, he's a Nepo baby. He's in politics because his dad was his father is the guy who gave us universal health care in Canada.
Okay.
So massively popular. My mother actually considered not naming me Justin when I was born because I was born when Pierre Elliott Trudeau was prime minister and Justin was his son. And he was famous enough that like she didn't want people to think that she named me after him.
Okay.
And then she gave me the shit name anyway. So here I am. Yeah, and so I've always kind of seen it as like he's using his dad's name for his popularity. He's not been bad, but he's not been terribly good. Like, he's okay. He's done some good things. Arguably, though, the good things that he has accomplished are because he's got in Canada, we don't have this two-party system thing that you guys have. We have a parliamentary system where there are multiple parties, and if none of them can get a majority, they have to form a minority government, which means two parties have to work together. And what happens there is there's the Liberals are basically the Canadian equivalent of the Democrats. The Conservatives are the Canadian equivalent of the Republicans. The NDP would be like if Bernie had his own party. So it's like the more socialist leaning, the more left leaning on the left. So for the last since Trudeau took office in, what was it, 2015, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2015 because they were due for an election this year, and it's every 5 years in Canada. I think, I don't know. Civics class was a long time ago. I just vote when the signs show up. And yeah, and our electoral cycle is nowhere near as long as you guys's. So like they're not campaigning for an entire year. It's
Instead
just
of
like
doing their
jobs. it's just like a month of campaigning and then we vote and it's done. So it's easy to forget how often it happens. But yeah, so he's had a minority government, which means that the Liberals and the NDP have had to work together. And so the NDP at any moment could just be like, hey, we're withdrawing our support. It's election time. And so in order to maintain control, the Liberals have had to do things that the NDP want. So like he's pushed for more comprehensive prescription coverage. He's pushed for a certain amount of dental coverage. It's weird that dental's not included in medical, but it isn't. So like there are these good things that Trudeau has accomplished, but arguably the only reason he did that is because he had to appease the NDP in order to remain in power. So he's kind of a nothing burger, but a nothing burger leaning on the good side.
That's reasonable, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, from a pragmatic point of view, that means that he's at least done good, even if the reasons were not the best.
Yeah, like when I found out that he resigned and that there was no major scandal with his resignation or anything, my feelings on the matter were along the lines of, oh, okay. So like, I'm not upset that he's leaving. I'm not happy that he's leaving. He's just leaving.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. So, on to the news. Speaking of politics and how sane it is up here, Trump wants to name the Gulf of Mexico something more American.
But why? Why does it matter?
It doesn't. It fucking doesn't. President-elect Donald Trump said that he wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to something more American. I mean, it's like if you look at the coastlines, it's about half and half American and Mexico. So at the press conference, he said, we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring. No, it doesn't. It sounds dumb.
It doesn't. It actually is harder to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's more syllables. It sounds worse.
Yeah, also, I saw this lovely thread on Blue Sky about how the word Mexico actually predates the existence of Europeans in the Americas. Because like it traces its roots back to the indigenous people before the Aztecs.
Okay.
And it's just got this long, lovely history. The president of Mexico, I forget her name, but she was giving a presentation and she showed this map from like the 1600s or something, where basically all of the United States on the map was labeled Americana or like Mexican America or something like it, but in Spanish. I forget exactly what it was. And she's like, look at that. That's such a beautiful name. We should call it that. So you guys can be Mexican America.
Neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before the Aztecs. Oh, wow, that's all the way back. Yeah, I forget the name of the culture. But I do remember it's the same. Where's Axo? Is Axo in the chat?
It's not like Inca, right? No,
it's not Inca. Is Axo in the chat?
Axo's in the chat, yeah.
Okay, so it's the same language that the word axolotl comes from. And I saw a video that was explaining the correct pronunciation of the word axolotl in that language. And it's like they've got a lot of the LOTL kind of sounds in there, but it's not pronounced anything. It might be the Toltecs. It might be Toltec. That sounds familiar. I don't think it was the Olmecs. I don't know. But
Axolotl.
but I remember seeing a video on how to pronounce axolotl, and it ended up being oh, there we go, Nahuatl. And I'm butchering this. Is that the name of the culture? Okay, I'm Googling stuff. Welcome to my show where I ostensibly do the news, but get distracted halfway through.
And then you just Google stuff in an area where nobody can see it because we don't need to see your search history.
I'm not worried about you seeing my search history. I'm worried about what Twitch will do if it sees my search history.
You know, that's fair. I don't think anybody would be surprised by my search history, but YouTube and Twitch.
Okay.
Maybe they'd be
Nahuatl
surprised.
is the language that's been spoken since the 7th century CE, which was the language of the Mexica, or Mexica, because I'm fucking gringo. Yeah, so I guess it would be the Mexica people. And I don't know. The video on how to pronounce axolotl is hilarious because like he's saying it. It's not just like this academic. This is how it would have been, like, this is how it is pronounced in that language. It's he's saying it more of a, this is how you should pronounce it. And the sounds are just so different from what we recognize that, like, if you were to say the word that he says you should pronounce axolotl as, nobody would have a fucking clue what you were talking about. And
Eric says that my search history is full of Magic the Gathering and healthcare research. Nothing else. That is a lie. There is a lot of porn.
Cirrus, sex is healthcare. So porn counts as healthcare. Porn counts as healthcare.
You know what? Sure.
Anyway,
you're not wrong.
All of this to say that Mexico has a much deeper etymology than America. It's like America was like named after some European lord in Italy or something that nobody even remembers who the fuck he is.
Okay.
And it was just like some guy was like, hey, yeah, I'm going to name it for that guy in hopes that that guy will pay me money for naming it this way. So, like, yeah, no, fuck that. Gulf of Mexico actually makes sense. The Republican the Republicans, I guess that would be Trump, said his administration will be making the official announcement at a future date pretty soon because we do most of the work here and it's ours, he said. Or we do most of the work there and it's ours. It's like, okay, you can change your maps if you want. I'm always going to call it the Gulf of Mexico, just like I still call it Twitter.
Like who cares if we isn't like rapidly changing a bunch of shit like that kind of linked to fascism anyway? It's part of machismo, isn't it? Let me see here.
Sorry, I have a kid who's asking me how to turn off the light in the backyard that is shining into their room as they're trying to sleep. I'm like, I don't know, it's one of the switches by the back door. But, yeah, so that's basically the article. Piper, keep all the tangents in this one so it can get to the magical 8 minutes.
God damn it.
Okay, the axolotl tangent was somewhat related.
It was.
Amerigo Vespucci, explorer and navigator. Wait, he was an explorer? I thought he was just like some Italian nobleman or something that an explorer named it after him.
What's the difference?
What's the difference is the nobles that stayed back home were the ones who wanted all the glory without doing any of the work. Yeah, I guess he was an explorer. Okay.
Bernia says it gives an excuse to change educational books in schools. Right, so they can make another edition.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's the Mexico story. Oh, by the way, just if things look a little wonky on my end, it's because Pocket, which I use to save the websites to make them all look identical so they fit in my little thingy, it breaks the highlight function. Their own native highlight function has been broken for the last couple weeks, but it works just well enough to get in the way of any external highlighting add-ons that you use.
Ah,
So what I've been doing, what I did this week is I just saved the websites as a PDF. So that's why it's got the little blue ring around it, because I hovered my mouse over it. And also there's page breaks, because I looked it up on I looked it up for I'm using Acrobat, because why not? I have Adobe, and it was like, is there any way to get rid of the page breaks? And everything was like, nope, that's impossible. Like, I remember there being a PDF reader where that was an option. It was just a tick box in a menu. Show page breaks, hide page breaks. That was it. Why is it impossible to get rid of that?
do we need Adobe to more accurately read the things that Matt Walsh says?
Well, they've got a built-in AI assistant. I could ask that.
Well, you could, but would it
Do
help read a
we
PDF file?
need you to... Would you? What was your question?
Would it help read a PDF file?
Like, what'd you say about Matt Walsh, though?
Would it help read Matt Walsh because he's a PDF file?
Okay. It's not going to get the joke. It
For
took
a
me
minute
long
there,
enough.
and you didn't.
Yeah, it took me long enough. I don't think the AI is going to be quite up to the task. Yeah, Sumatra PDF should still have those page break features, Vice Rhino. Yeah, but then I'd have to install another thing. I already have this one. I use Adobe for so much shit, I may as well use their PDF reader instead of installing something else. I used to use Foxit. Okay. Next up, this one was sent to me by someone whose name I know. Where are you? Oh, okay. Never mind. It's my anonymous source. He doesn't need to be named. However, if you send me news articles at news@vicerhino.com and I decide to cover them, I promise you that Cirrus will remember your name and remind me of it when I forget. That is our guarantee on this show. Cirrus 100% will never not be able to do that.
I will always remember the name of the person via the means that I'm not able to see their name. Yes.
It'll always just be my anonymous source. He's my scapegoat. The U.S. will never admit their mistakes. Destiny, y'all. Yeah, I seem to recall there being stories when I was a kid about how kids in American schools learn that they are undefeated when it comes to war.
Yeah.
Do you actually learn that?
Yes.
Actually?
They don't actually say, like, we lost the Vietnam War.
Or the Bay of Pigs?
We hear that we came home.
Or the War of 1812?
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple others. I know Afghanistan now goes on the list. Wow.
Yeah, they don't mention that America loses. We are just a big superpower that always wins.
Yeah, my favorite is hearing the people try and justify the states having won the War of 1812. It was like, okay, in the War of 1812, there were two goals. The states wanted to take over part or all of Canada. Canada wanted that to not happen. That did not happen. Oh, Artemis, 1812 was a draw? No, 1812 was not a draw. We were not trying to take over any American territory. We just wanted y'all to leave us alone. And at the end of it, y'all left us alone. So we won. That's us. We burnt down the White House, motherfucker.
Yep.
Also, you burned down the White House, which was hilarious. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We're on the same wavelength.
God, we all love talking about burning down the White House.
We
Not that
do
any of us
love
would
talking
ever
about
do
historically
it.
having burnt down the White House, don't we?
Yep, historically it happened.
It's just a thing that we can talk about as having happened. I don't know how true this is, but one of the things that I heard is that it wasn't actually called the White House until we burnt it down, and then when they rebuilt it, some of the charred wood was still there, so they painted it white in order to hide that, and that's why it's called the White House. I don't know how true that is. I feel like that's Canadian propaganda.
That feels very and then someone said it type of thing. Like that feels very pulled out of the ass for a story.
I agree. I do not trust that is accurate, but I like to believe it in my heart. That does sound like folk history. Yeah, I know. Shut up. It's true to me. It's my truth. You wouldn't attract my truth, would you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Religious believers see compatibility with science, while science enthusiasts perceive conflict. In other news, water is wet.
Yeah. Like, what's fun is that, so there is not an intrinsic, issue with religion and science. There's not. There is, however, a political one.
Mm-hmm.
Always. When you look at the Bible does not say the Earth is 6,000 years old. You have to have some dumbass extrapolating that.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that way too fucking often.
Yeah, so here's the thing. As an atheist who is active in these spaces, it's kind of wild to me that this was even a question that someone thought had a non-determined answer. But like, we'll see this in the article, but the thing that they kind of comment on is, they seem to kind of miss it, is that if you look at young Earth creationists, they have a patina of science. Answers in Genesis has a research journal that purports to be scientific in nature. You look at a Matt Powell video, how many times does he talk about how evolution is not science? Because he believes that science is on his side. He also thinks the sun burns differently because of the air in space, but he thinks that science is on his side. Just because he's an idiot about what science actually is does not mean that he does not think that science is on his side. So, yeah, when you look at it that way, the deeply religious people are being told by all the other people in their community that, science supports this stuff. So they say, yeah, science is good. We just don't believe the science that disagrees with the religion part. And so they see themselves as being compatible with science. Only true science, because only true science will support our religion. But then you ask the scientific people, it's like, yeah, no, those young Earth creationists have to deny all of geology and biology and astronomy, basically, in order to believe what they believe. So, no, that is not science. And so religion and science aren't compatible. So, it's kind of a no-brainer to someone who deals with the subject all the time.
If you deal with it all the time, you come to a couple of conclusions. One, the one I came to, where you have a fuck ton of idiots, again, like the Matt Powells of the world, who are having to find ways to create wars with science for no good fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get the people who have never entered these spaces whatsoever, have never been part of the atheist debate sphere. And if they're in one of those religions, I mean, whatever flavor of Christianity it may be, is usually going to be the one that doesn't have any qualms with anything science says whatsoever, looks at things like the creation myth as metaphor instead of this actually happened, therefore evolution can't be real. That person is going to look at the religion science conflict and think there's never been one whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go but I don't understand. How is
that's
there
your
any
Francis
problem?
Collins of the world.
If you actually spend any time in these spaces, you realize that there is a fight happening because there are stupid people who refuse to stand corrected.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, the study focused on the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Kazakhstan, because they wanted to kind of get a diversity of opinion. So they got the most. So in the United Kingdom and the Netherlands, it was mostly where they got the people leaning Christian, and Kazakhstan is where people were leaning Muslim, and there were more science-minded people in the UK and the Netherlands than there were in Kazakhstan. I feel like that is a result of the governance.
Very likely.
Because and this is part of where the non-religious people see conflict, is that if the government is run by the religion, the religion stifles science, and then people are not educated properly. They end up continuing to believe the religion, not getting scientifically educated, and the cycle continues. The next generation of people are also not scientifically literate. And doesn't matter what religion is running the government, like, it's a problem no matter which. Just so happens that in this day and age, Islam runs more governments than any other religion.
Which is a terrifying prospect, all things considered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but slight tangent, but even peaceful religions become not peaceful religions when they have power. Because, like, just look at the genocide that's been going on in Myanmar since, I think it's 2014. Well, 2014 is when it was, like, escalated to the level where it was recognized as genocide. But, like, the Rohingya Muslims have been oppressed there since the 60s, and they're Buddhists. Buddhist monks committing genocide. Like, that's not a thing that we in North America...
Not a thing that you would consider them doing.
Yeah, no, Buddhism is normally seen as one of the good religions. That's just, you know, it's peaceful, and it promotes meditation and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, but give them political power, and this is what happens. Because the religion is the supremely important thing.
I can understand a little bit why there are some people who think nobody should have political power whatsoever. It becomes more apparent to me every day that while I disagree with the stance, I understand where it's coming from.
That's kind of what the American experiment was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like, it's a representative republic where, like, nobody has, like, no one person has too much power. Like, the president was not always the most powerful figure in the government like he is today. When it was first set up,
the American experiment failed horribly because we've consolidated that power.
It did, and also the originalists, if they actually read if they actually were originalists, they would not hold the positions that they hold. Because, like, I don't put any stock in originalism. I don't, for the most part, I don't fucking care what a bunch of dead guys from 300 years ago thought. With regards to, like, how we should run the country today. But of the ideas that I think are actually good, like, some of the stuff is like, the reason they chose the title president for the leader of the country was because at the time in their culture, president was actually kind of a lowly title. The president is subservient to the board of directors or whatever organizations were around then. The president was like basically their little bitch boy who has to do what they say. And so they chose president specifically so that it would be not a desirable office to attain, because that's not a prestigious title. It became a prestigious title. Like, they were looking at, like, England with its prime minister. That's very clearly denoting the most important person there. No, we can't have that. We have to have something more lowly than that. And so, like, that's an idea that I could get behind, is that, like, no, the president should not be the most powerful person in the country. He should be subservient to the other branches of government. That's the whole point of having the three branches. Checks and balances or whatever the fuck. But, you know, how it works in theory and how it plays out in reality are two different things.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Tibet wasn't super peaceful before China took it over. China still sucks. Yeah, there are instances where there are bad guys on both sides. Famous example right now, the Israel-Hamas war. They both suck.
Yeah.
They both want to genocide each other, and genocide is wrong no matter who's doing it.
And when you look at the political systems for both of them, you see that there's a lot of homophobia and shit on the side of Palestine. And then when you look at Israel, there's, well, the same shit, and just not to the same degree, but a lot of fucking racism.
And again, we've said this before, but just to make it explicit again, there is a difference between Hamas and Palestine. They, like, being supportive of a free Palestine does not mean you're in favor of Hamas. So I feel like that needs to be said every time.
People have a tendency to forget.
Anyway, back to this thing. So those who see Those with strong religious beliefs think that science and religion are compatible, whereas those who believe more in science don't think that. Previous studies have often focused on contexts where science and religion are directly compared or juxtaposed, leaving unanswered questions about how belief in one influences perceptions of their compatibility independent of the other. So in this study, what they did, like, they didn't just come out and ask, what are your religious beliefs and how do you feel science, like, what do you feel the compatibility is between science and religion? They would, like, ask them a bunch of questions about science and a bunch of questions about religion. And, you know, just to kind of poke around at their general feelings about those things. And then at the end, they would ask more general questions about the compatibility of science and religion. So it was like they weren't primed to think that it was that kind of a study. And like if they figured it out by the end, at that point it's like too late, whatever. They're not going to lie at that part, usually. That's the thing about surveys, is that there's always a potential for, like, when I'm taking one of these surveys or whatever, I can always kind of see where they're coming from, where the researchers are coming from, what answers they're trying to get. And I try to answer as honestly as possible. Well, once I figure out what they're aiming for, or like what information they're trying to figure out, that then taints my answers. And I know I'm not the only person that's like that. So it's difficult. So the study author says, I see science and religion as meaning systems that can each contribute to finding meaning and answering epistemic and existential questions. I'm interested in understanding how people create worldviews based on science and religion to explain reality, to what extent those worldviews have the capacity to provide different types of meaning, and whether they come into conflict.
I'm sorry, but science isn't a worldview. It's a method. I kind of take umbrage with how...
Yeah. Oh, this isn't the part that I take umbrage with.
Okay.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but it gets worse later. Dark Falcon says, it's how you conduct them that's important. Yep, no, you got to design your studies carefully to make sure you don't give it away to people like me. Study design is very important, especially with surveys.
Yeah.
But yes, I see what you're getting at.
Okay,
but
so
I
where
also
do you
see
hold issue?
So in my personal life, my partner has a spiritual side.
Yeah.
I do not. So like when we bought the house, she went around the house with incense to cleanse it of its former owners or whatever, and that's fine. So she's not religious per se, but she does have a spiritual side. She has her spirituality. It's important to her, whatever. So to take it out of the realm of young earth creationism, when I bring up my science shit, she's fine with that. She's on board with that. Yeah, absolutely. Fine. That's great. Whereas like I look at her spiritual practices and I'm just like, no, that's not for me. It looked kind of silly to me. I don't really think that's scientifically supported. Whatever. So like I can see from that perspective as well.
And I can understand a person's religious beliefs and support them in their religious beliefs.
Well,
I have no problem doing that. Or, you know, even if it's not, like in your case, it's not a religious belief.
Well, she likes to co-opt science as well. Right? And I feel like I need to give this caveat every time. So she does like crystals, and she does talk about healing crystals or whatever, but she would never advocate for not going to the doctor. Like she wouldn't say go to a naturopath or someone that does healing crystals or whatever instead of the doctor. She might say do both, but she would never actually say don't go to the doctor, go to the crystal person instead. And if you only have money for one, go to the doctor. But well, so on my channel at one point, well, okay, so for the kids, I ordered bismuth from Amazon so I could melt it on the stove and we could like make little bismuth crystals with it, and we had fun with that and it was fun. And then I made a joke in one of my videos about like farting bismuth crystals, and I had them ready and available or whatever to use. And when she found out that bismuth is the active ingredient in Pepto-Bismol, she just like jaw dropped to the floor. She looks over and is like, oh, healing crystals.
Yeah, that's when you look at her and get, this is not a thing you should do, mine. But if it were one of my friends doing that, I would immediately turn around and go, there's a difference between how that's being used and how you're proposing it be used.
Oh, she is not proposing any sort of how specifically. Just crystals are nice. They have healing power. Bismuth in Pepto-Bismol? Sure.
I hate
Doesn't matter how it's used. It's a healing crystal.
I hate being a pragmatist sometimes because my brain just latches onto that and goes, but the how is important. The how is how you get to the belief meaning anything.
I know. No, I know. And she loves poking fun at me for that because, like, again, like I said, she would never like wave a crystal around her belly instead of taking Pepto-Bismol. But like anytime she does take Pepto-Bismol or gives it to the kids or whatever, she's like, healing crystals. And it's, I don't know. And everybody in the chat's talking about how it works, but it's gross. Yeah, no, I'm aware that it works, but because it is gross, I will not take it.
I remember my dad would give if he would give during any of the rare times that I actually like spent time at his house and with my sibling, if he would give my sibling Pepto-Bismol because they had a hurt stomach, then I would be asked afterwards by my dad, go ahead and take the rest out. Drink the rest that's in there. It's tasty. Like just from the little plastic container that has your set dosage. And I'm just like, no, that doesn't taste like candy. That tastes like regret. I'm not doing that.
Alex Markle says, these healing crystals taste like shit, mommy. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's my whole thing where like I can kind of see the how like for me from the scientific side, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, the religion is not really compatible with that. You're just taking the one or two things that do happen to work and using that to bolster the rest that doesn't. Yep. Whereas she looks at it from the other perspective, being like, yeah, no, well, see, it does work because healing crystals or whatever. So like I can see this playing out in more than just the creation of space or whatever. Like it's not a surprise to me, no matter how you look at it. And anyway, okay, so the participants completed an online survey. Yeah, we already talked about the design. Yeah, we already talked about this. That's the problem with actually being prepared for a news show, is that I will talk about stuff because I remember reading it, and then we get to the part where I was going to read it.
And then you're just sad.
Yeah, no, then you just watch me scroll. I mean, the alternative is being Sargon of Akkad, misreading the thing and going on 5-minute tangents about something that is then like explained 2 sentences later in the article. And I don't want to do. Yeah, I don't want to do that, which is why I read through it and highlight it. So stronger belief in science was associated with perception of conflict between science and religion. Yeah, so this finding reflects the different epistemological foundations of the two systems. Science relies on empirical evidence and natural laws, while religion often incorporates supernatural explanations. Duh. This is where I kind of take issues. As religious people
makes shit up and the other one doesn't.
Religious people can combine multiple sources of meaning and use both science and religion to find meaning in their lives, she told SciPost. Believers in science seemingly only use science and possibly look for additional sources of meaning elsewhere. Like, what?
Wait, hold on. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
No. Like, you didn't say anything about sources of meaning in this.
Yeah, that's not the same. There's a difference between a source of meaning and a source of information about the world around you. If you're talking about how we derive truth from shit, then yeah, science is probably going to be a way that we use more often than not because we see that it actually has replicatable results. There's a difference between that and trying to find meaning.
Yeah.
You know what gives my life meaning? Not science.
So this makes me call into question the design of the study. So like, they found a result that is not surprising to me at all. Like, it doesn't say anything one way or the other toward, like, it doesn't make my position stronger, it doesn't weaken my position at all. It has no bearing on anything, really. And I feel like the author of the study knows that, and they're trying to play it up as being more important than it actually is.
They're fluffing up a nothing burger.
Yeah, because
this is something that somebody wrote so they could get a paycheck for the week.
Well, because this is an interview they're given, and like they didn't ask the people about meaning. They didn't ask what is your source of meaning in life, or if they did, they didn't like report it as part of the results. The study wasn't about where you derive your sense of meaning in life. It was about, do you think science and religion are compatible? It is possible to be a science-believing person who thinks that science and religion are not compatible whatsoever, and you can still derive a great sense of meaning from all sorts of places. From your family, from your relationships, from your work, from hobbies, from like going out on a dark night and looking up at the fucking sky.
I derive meaning by hopping on a scooter with my girlfriend and riding to the local Waffle House on Christmas Day. That's what we did. We went to Waffle House on Christmas Day.
Yeah. So I really don't like the implication here that like if you're not religious, you don't have meaning in your life. Like that is what I'm getting out of this statement. And I don't like that because I'm not religious and my life is full of meaning. Too full, you might say.
Yeah, because they're kids.
I have too many kids.
There's too fucking many of them.
Yeah, but like I like you can say many things about my life. You cannot say that I am not meaningfully fulfilled. And it has nothing to do with religion.
Like Asina says Waffle House, the one true religionist thingy. Like, look, I am very tempted to, as soon as we are done with this stream, ask Saki if she wants to hop on the scooters and go to Waffle House. The only reason that I would stop myself from doing that is, one, she wants to play Baldur's Gate, and that would be not playing Baldur's Gate. And
that's fair.
And we're playing together, so like if I'm not playing, then she's not playing, and vice versa. And two, it's fucking cold outside.
Oh, okay. What is your definition of fucking cold?
My definition of fucking cold?
Yeah, what's the temperature?
Well, let's see here. Currently, it is 27 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -3 Celsius.
So currently here, it is -9 Celsius. So that's 16 Fahrenheit?
Your wiener is bigger than mine.
Yeah. Okay, so my fucking dog, my goddamn fucking dog, adorable little pooch that she is, she just got a haircut and a bath, so she's got short hair right now.
Yeah.
But we also just moved into a house that has a fenced-in backyard, and she's never been allowed outside without a leash. Like, okay, my partner would take her outside without a leash to let her pee, like at the end of the night, every now and then. And I fucking hate it when she did that because the dog likes to run away and she likes being chased. It's a game. So
yeah,
like,
that's how Chip is.
Yeah, every now and then she would just like not come back inside and you'd have to go get her. And it's a game, so she's running all through the neighborhood. And I'm like, you just... And most of the time she was fine. She would come back in. But like there was just that one... But anyway, so we moved in here. And so we're letting her out in the backyard now because it's fenced in. And she's having a grand old time. But like she's refusing to come inside, but it is fucking freezing. She's sitting there in the snow, visibly shaking because she is so fucking cold. And we're just like standing there with the door open and be like, Puddles, come inside, please, come inside. Yeah, you're cold. We've got food here. We'll give you a treat. Just come inside. But she's so excited to be off the leash and outside that she's just like running around and being like, nope, I don't care that I'm shivering and about to die. A husky she is not.
Yeah.
But yeah, she loves the new house, but we're also because she was not fully potty trained, we've decided that here we are going to get her a coat and some boots. We have a coat. It's in a box somewhere.
Nixie Chan, thank you for resubscribing.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So she's not fully potty trained because she was originally potty trained on an 8th floor apartment, so it was done with pee pads because you can't just go outside when the dog has to pee when you have to wait for an elevator to get down there. Like if it's an urgent thing, there has to be somewhere to go in the apartment. And so because that was how she was initially trained, even when she got to know that she's supposed to pee outside, she would still, like, if there was no one around to get their attention and say, hey, I need to go outside, she would just find something on the floor that reminded her vaguely of a pee pad and pee on that, which was actually really good for getting kids to pick their coats up off the floor, because like, do you want the dog to pee on it? Because she pees on whatever's on the floor. So here we've decided, okay, when she's inside, she's wearing a diaper because she doesn't pee in the diapers. So we just got to make sure we let her outside frequently enough. And so she gets into the habit of like, okay, I can go outside anytime I want. So, and they put the stupid diaper on me when I'm in here. So maybe if I just pee outside and don't pee inside, it'll be fine. So, yeah. Anyway.
I hopefully will not have any issues with Growlithe with the outside with how cold it's getting, mostly because she has a super thick border collie coat. But that all gets shaved off when springtime comes around. So I'm hoping that a cold front doesn't come in after that.
Puddles is happy outside shivering her ass off with no hair. But yeah,
I can't account for your dog's mental state.
My dog is a nut job. Yeah, I'll give you that. Okay, last news item. This was also sent to me by my anonymous source. It says, the can-do spirit that undermines American workers. In Make Your Own Job, Eric Baker argues that we have been tricked into regarding personal resilience as a solution to structural injustice. So the main reason I picked this, it's a long article, we can skip most of it. There's a lot of flowery language, and it's basically a book review. But the main reason I picked this is because there's so many things in society that are societal problems that the solutions to them are going to be found in changing how society operates. It's not going to be individual problems like pollution.
You can't Jordan Peterson clean your own room about pollution.
Yeah, no matter how much I recycle, it's not going to clean the lake outside. I personally am not the one who is polluting that lake, whether I put my metal can in the garbage or in the recycle. So the problem is that our garbage collection system is this multi-stream system that requires individuals to sort things perfectly. What needs to happen is there needs to be a single stream thing where they sort it at the factory and everything gets sorted properly, and that system would be put in place and to minimize how much would go to the wrong location. Because right now what happens, this is the problem with plastics, is 90% of plastics that get sent to recycling facilities are not recycled. Because they're too dirty, it's the wrong kind of plastic, it's been recycled too many times already, it just gets incinerated and sent up into the atmosphere. And it does not matter how many times I how careful I am at sorting my recycling. That is not going to change the larger issue. And a similar issue, I don't drive an electric car because I think I'm saving the planet. I drive an electric car because I fucking hate going to the gas station.
Yeah?
It doesn't matter if I drive a gas car or an electric car. That is not going to save the planet or kill the planet one way or the other. The idiots in their pickup trucks rolling coal, they're not, realistically, any one of them is not doing shit to affect the outcome of global warming. The fact that those trucks can be produced in the first place, that is the issue.
But we have this weird fixation as human beings with individual responsibility. You bought a thing from the wrong place. You're evil. You're the problem. Like, no, it's you're part of the problem, but part of the problem doesn't fucking mean anything. Because if you are part of the problem in that you are a drop in a bucket that is the ocean.
Fenix.
Then part of the problem means nothing.
Fenix getting in the anti-truck camp. I know this, Fenix. It's that stupid thing where things that are classified as small trucks don't need to meet the same emission standards. And this is why SUVs are popular as well, because they SUVs count as light. I forget whether it was small trucks or light trucks. They also don't have to meet emission standards. And the whole justification for that originally was that American farmers need their work trucks to work. So it's not fair that they should have to have these weaker vehicles that are better for emissions or whatever. So make a loophole to allow the trucks to not hit the same standards. And the government said, okay. And then the car company said, okay, well, we're just going to take this light truck frame and build SUVs on it. And then we're going to market SUVs and trucks as being the thing that everybody needs.
Yay.
And now we're all fucked because everybody drives a fucking truck and an SUV. So people are like, it's not just bad for the environment because they're like just gas guzzlers. It's bad for like instances of kids getting run over and killed in their own driveways because people are getting into these big trucks and can't see them. They have skyrocketed over the last couple decades. So, yeah, no, these companies are creating loopholes to make more money for them. And it makes more money for them. It is more dangerous for people normally. It is worse for the world from a pollution standpoint. And everybody's like, oh, well, the solution to that is just don't buy a big truck. No, the solution to that is put fucking regulations on them. Make them hit the same emission standards as everybody else. If it's an electric truck, like I'm all for electric trucks. Fine, do electric trucks. Why the fuck do they need that big fucking ugly grill that you can't see over in the front? Because your dick's too small. That's why. That's the only reason. Sorry.
You tell them, Rhino.
Those things make me angry. Why the fuck does the F-150 Lightning need a front storage space? Like, just chop that fucking nose off, give you more visibility, and make the bed bigger. There you go. You have more fucking storage space.
Also storing things right near your engine.
I'm not shaming the people with small penises. I'm shaming the people with small penises that feel the need to compensate for that by buying big trucks. Small penises are fine, as long as you know what you're doing with them. In fact, small penises are easier to suck, so you're more likely to get better head if you have a small penis.
I will say this. When it comes to truck people, there are very few people in the world more obnoxious than truck people. In terms of vehicles, you get sports car people and you get truck people, and sports car people are above truck people in terms of how annoying they are, but truck people are very close.
Sports car people are fun because I can get under their skin now because I drive an electric car, but it's just like a little fucking, like it's a family grocery picker-upper kind of thing. It's not a sports car by any stretch of the imagination, but just by virtue of the fact that it's got an electric motor, when I'm beside the guy in the fucking Mustang who's been like weaving in and out of traffic and like trying to get ahead of everybody as quickly as possible, I love being beside those people at a red light because as soon as it turns green, I just leave them in the dust. They catch up to me because I stop accelerating at a reasonable point, whereas they just keep on going. But like, I leave them in the dust because I can accelerate faster because I'm an electric.
Pernia says, "What about Cybertruck people?"
No, Cybertruck people don't count as.
They don't count as people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You didn't name people there. You listed a category of mistakes.
So I was driving the other day. I forget where we were coming home from, but it was late at night, and I was going at a good clip. Like I go 120 on the highway. Speed limit's 100. I think in miles per hour that's going about 70 in the 60 zone. So like not super fast, but not slow either. And so, like, I'm in the left lane, and I'm passing. There's a bunch of people in the right lane that I'm passing, and I can see a truck coming up behind me, and it's coming fast. I'm like, okay, when I get a moment, I'll move over and let him pass me. But like, I'm still actively passing people. He gets right up on my fucking ass, tailgating me. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm still gonna move over for him when he gets there. He then fucking turns his high beams on. Like, okay. Fuck you. As soon as he turns his high beams on, I turn off cruise control, start slowing down, go to, like, I'm only going like 1 kilometer per hour faster than the cars beside me, so I'm still passing them, but I'm going a lot slower now.
Yeah,
and,
when somebody decides to be a dick.
He was so fucking mad, but I'm like, you know what? No. You fucking flash your high beams at me in the, like, at night on the highway. No, I am not going to be considerate to you when you're going to be an asshole like that. And then when I finally did change lanes, I changed lanes so slowly.
Anything to make them get more and more angry.
Yeah, it would have been fine if they'd have just left me alone. Oh, Cybertrucks have high beams with that light strip? Okay, they're not the only one with the light bar. I think the light bars look stupid. They look fucking stupid. And I'm including my car in that. My car doesn't have a light bar. My car has a full-on light mustache. It's so fucking ridiculous.
You know, there is a question I've had about those light bars. Are they harder and more expensive to actually repair when things go wrong with the bulbs?
I don't fucking know. It's just an LED strip. What's going to go wrong with it? Okay.
The same thing that goes wrong with every other thing that's ever been made.
I don't
it's
know.
A machine.
All those cars are too new. Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you. This is not my car, but this is window capture. There. That's the light mustache.
It doesn't look that bad.
It looks stupid. I think it looks stupid.
I can understand that perspective.
Anyway, so this was all about how societal problems do not have individual solutions.
Yeah.
Do we need to get into this? Because same thing applies to.
I think we basically know this.
Yeah, well, the same thing applies to entrepreneurial spirit. Like, he goes into the history of how, like, in the like during the Industrial Revolution, the way companies would make more money was to, like, make their product better or to fix something about it. But then in the when the Great Depression hit, suddenly it became a moral failing to be unemployed. It's like, if you have the work ethic, you can always make work for yourself, even if that means like starting your own business or whatever. And that's actually where the Avon company came from, which led to the whole slew of, like, direct selling and multi-level marketing bullshit. And it's culminating in the gig economy, which, hi Piper, I know I'm technically hiring you because of with gig work, but if you feel hard done by that, just you can let me know. We can work it out. I feel like I try to be a good boss. I try.
Me over here trying desperately to get all my chapters into Cherry so I can actually pay Cherry.
No.
Lore,
Well,
thank you so much for resubscribing.
So I try to be a good boss. Like, over Christmas, I let Piper know, like, hey, if you need some time off, just let me know. Then I mess with them on Christmas Day to be like, hey, where's my... I don't think I did that. I'm not going to promise I didn't, because I usually don't know what fucking day it is. And that includes Christmas. Let's see. Now I have to prove myself wrong. What was I doing around Christmas time?
Dear. Isn't it great, these tangents that involve things that people in our audience can't even see?
Yeah. Well, I have to prove I'm a good boss.
True. Old Gus,
Okay.
thank you for redeeming your points for an owl.
You know what? Piper sent me an invoice on Christmas Eve. So I'm gonna I did not, there was no messages exchanged between us on Christmas Day. And then, oh yeah, Christmas Day I was recording. I was working Christmas Day. So yeah, I uploaded my stuff to Piper on Boxing Day. And I messaged them being like, hey, the stuff is uploading now, but it's a holiday. Just do it when you can. So anyway, yeah, that's basically it. We need to get rid of the idea that personal responsibility is what gives people employment. Like, yeah, there's a certain degree of that. Like, if you're going to be a shit employee, nobody's going to want to hire you. But, like, most people, that's not applicable.
You know, it's funny. The more entrepreneurial spirit somebody has, the worse of an employee they are. The more of the feeling of going out and doing it on your own.
Travis says a good boss would do what is needed to get Piper's animated world moved to Canada if they wanted to be. And if they do not, then I shall learn editing. So I did this right after the election. I messaged multiple people, including Piper, that I know in the States that might be vulnerable, making sure that they have passports. Have you gotten your passport yet, Cirrus?
I have not had the money to. It would be $400. I don't have the $400.
Do a fucking fundraiser. Someone super chat him $400. He needs his fucking passport and Saki as well.
There was one moment where I had the passport money and it was funded by a viewer, and then I had literally a $1,000 bill for power. And my Pernia says it's not 400. It is for 2 people. I promise you it is, because I've done this before for somebody already when we got Arachne out of here and to New Zealand. Anyway, it's 200 per person.
Piper has a passport, and I'm pretty sure they know that if push comes to shove, my basement is open. I have offered it to you, but if you're not even going to get your passport, I'm not holding it for you if somebody else needs it. Yeah. The sad thing is, that's only a half joke. That's the worst part. Anyway, let's do some tweets. Because I say this, it's fucking 10 to 10. I purposely picked the Trump renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America thing to be a short news item, because I have a tweet that is basically a news item. Because like I did a whole deep dive on it, where there's woke style, and it's pretty fun. What I discovered, I have notes, and it's a long one. Like there's 4 screenshots of it. It's not actually a tweet; it's a YouTube comment.
Oh dear.
But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. So we're starting off with Mr. Doobie. Now, this is where I need your help, because you've seen Sonic 3. I have not. I have, however, seen Matt Walsh's video on Sonic 3. So Mr. Doobie posts a screenshot of Matt Walsh's video, which is Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie that broke me as a father, where he says kids deserve good movies. So to summarize, he says, the Eggman dance made no narrative sense. The plot was too dark for a kids movie. Keanu Reeves can't voice act. They should have made it with AI. A little bit of a disagreement there.
Should have made it with AI?
No. His video was actually more along the lines of, you wouldn't have been able to tell if they had made it with AI. He was not saying they should. So I would like to make sure that that is being accurately represented there. And he wasn't paying attention, which, yeah, that is accurate as well. So, Sirs, was Sonic 3 good?
So, was it good? Yes. It was good as a movie. It was surprisingly good for a video game movie. I'm very happy we finally actually have good video game movies. Like, that's just not a thing that existed when I was growing up, but we have them now.
You mean Battleship wasn't a good movie?
I've never seen Battleship, but
neither have I, but I know it's bad.
Movies.
But yeah, so the Eggman dance, apparently Jim Carrey as Eggman's father looks directly into the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and is like, I'm the same actor as that guy, and then they dance.
Yeah, but that makes perfect sense. It's a Jim Carrey performance. Why did you get a Jim Carrey performance and not expect him to be fucking Jim Carrey? I'm sorry.
That is fair.
Like, here's the thing. Eggman as a character has been portrayed by no less than 5 different actors, and that's not even counting the games. That is counting every time. He's been done by Long John Baldwin. Let me see here. Hold on. How many?
Are you including the Japanese actors in there?
No,
because there's the Japanese dub and then the English dub. And
so he's been done by Jim Cummings.
Of course he has.
Yes, and Jim Cummings has one of the best Eggman portrayals ever.
Yeah, because it's fucking Jim Cummings. Of course it is.
He sounds like in every single breath he's going to murder you, and you're going to enjoy it. It's just insane.
Nobody ever tell me anything bad about Jim Cummings, because I just want to go to my grave believing that he's just the most wholesome person who is such an amazing voice actor, and I love him.
So if we're counting,
no, I don't want to know anything bad about him.
I wasn't saying anything bad about him. But he's been done by Jim Cummings. He's been done by Dean Bristow. He's been done by Mike Pollock. He's been done by, like I said, Long John Baldwin, who had a very long career as a singer as well. So they got singing and dancing Eggman 20 fucking years ago. So is Jim Carrey's Eggman the correct Eggman? No, but almost none of them are. I don't
think Matt Walsh was worried about the correct portrayal of Eggman.
Right, but so whether or not Eggman is portrayed well for me is going to come down to whether or not he was portrayed as a character I could believe to be Eggman. And Jim Carrey's Eggman, while mostly Jim Carrey, I could definitely see being Eggman perfectly fine.
I'm seeing people in the chat saying that Pixels is a good video game movie. Is that the one with Adam Sandler in it?
It's the Adam Sandler movie.
Okay, no, I refuse to watch anything with Adam Sandler in it, because that guy he's just a fucking annoying piece of shit. I'm sorry, that might be a hot take. I don't know. I fucking hate Adam Sandler.
I can't stand Adam Sandler movies. I don't think that's too much of a hot take for anybody.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know that he's a piece of shit as a person, but like, from what I've seen of his movies, no, I don't want anything to do with that. Goodbye.
There's nothing wrong with not liking those movies.
Yeah, so I've never seen Pixels. I expect that Pixels is terrible because it's got Adam Sandler in it.
All right, so the Eggman thing, the only issue that he had seemed to be the dance scene or the breaking the fourth wall moment, because, like, again, that's just a Jim Carrey performance. You got a Jim Carrey performance out of Jim Carrey. I'm so surprised.
The plot was dark. Apparently... They actually
it's
like
based
the plot
on Sonic Adventure 2, which is a really dark fucking game.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Who cares?
So was it really? I want to destroy all of humanity, including myself.
Yes. Actually, the version in the game is even darker, because the version in the game, Maria's not just a happy-go-lucky kid like she is in the movie. In the game, she's dying of AIDS, and she is kept in a super sterile location so that she can survive it. And in Sonic Adventure 2, unlike what happens in the movie, instead of Eggman's great-grandfather being one of the villains they have to deal with, he's dead in the beginning of the game, and you find all kinds of clips of him as the United States military is about to kill him via firing squad. But yeah, the movie version's too fucking... Shut the fuck up, Matt Walsh. We had darker 20 years ago. You fucking pussy.
Okay. Keanu Reeves can't voice act?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves' Shadow the Hedgehog doesn't work for me either, but I don't... He has 11 lines in the whole movie. I don't care.
One of those, okay. Yeah, so not they should have made it with AI, but it would have been indistinguishable from something made with AI.
Incorrect.
Yep.
Incorrect. I've seen movies
I've seen Ben Schwartz act. No, I guarantee you Ben Schwartz did a better job than AI.
Also,
Ben Schwartz doesn't really act. He is just Ben Schwartz on camera, but it is a very recognizable personality that is definitely not AI.
Also, his version of Sonic is very, very compelling towards the end of the film.
Okay.
Like, he gets It's the only issue I have with how they do his Sonic is like the lesson gets very on the nose. Spoilers for
it's a
anybody
kids movie though, so like, that's the way it
spoilers
usually
for
is.
anybody who doesn't remember the plot of Sonic Adventure 2 for some reason, but one of the big things between Sonic and Shadow is that Shadow in the movie is portrayed as what Sonic would be if he didn't have friends. That's the message of the movie. If you don't surround yourself with people you love, you
become Matt Walsh. I mean,
you become a hateful person. And the movie has a moment where it immediately explains it to you, where Sonic, again, spoilers for the movie.
That was one of Matt Walsh's complaints, is that it does basically like hit you over the head with the message at the end.
Yeah, it hits you in the head, but the way it hits you in the head is Sonic turns Supersonic, which is basically just Super Saiyan for the Sonic series. And as he is about to kill Shadow, about to literally drive his fist through his heart, Shadow says, "Congratulations, you made the same choices I made." And yeah, that's really on the nose and really stupid and really dumb. And the game did not do it that way in any way, shape, and form. It was at least a little more subtle than that. But still, I don't know how you would expect anything else at this point. It was fine.
Okay. And then he wasn't paying attention. Yeah, so I actually would like to...
Then how could he critique anything if he didn't pay attention?
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed about his reviews, that like he seems to be doing one of those things where, like, you know, when the cool kid at school liked something that wasn't considered cool, and so like he clearly knew too much about it, but then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, the only reason I know that is so that I can dunk on it all the time." Like that sort of thing. That's definitely the vibe that Matt Walsh's video was giving off. But probably my favorite quote came from that section of the movie where he was talking about how he was so bored by it. But he said, the direct quote, word for word, "It's kind of an odd combination to be both sleepy and deeply irritated simultaneously." Like, excuse me.
It is an odd combination because you weren't that.
That is not an odd combination. When I am sleepy, that contributes to me being deeply irritated. Just ask the kids about me in the morning. I am sleepy in the morning, and I am deeply irritated at any fucking thing they do.
Fair enough.
Like, that's just the human condition, man. If that's weird, like I don't think Matt Walsh is human if he doesn't understand that being sleepy and deeply irritated can happen simultaneously.
He's like a robot who can only ever experience one emotion at a time.
Yeah. Well, sleep is not even an emotion. It's a state. It's my battery's low.
Like, okay, I am not going to say that everybody who sees the Sonic movie needs to like it or that it's a fucking cinematic masterpiece. I don't care that much about other people's opinions about something that I had a blast with and loved and really, really, really can't wait for the fourth movie because they did the fucking MCU thing where there's a post-scenes credits that shows here's the next character that's going to come out, and I'm super excited about that shit. I don't need Matt Walsh, of all people, to give a shit.
So here's the thing. His ultimate conclusion, like it says it right in the thumbnail, kids deserve good movies. So like his main defense. Movie. So his defense to the whole thing is like, a lot of people, when I complain about how bad the movie is, they'll tell me that like, well, what do you expect? It's a kids movie. And his reaction to that was like, okay, well, why can't kids have good movies? And I agree with that.
They do have good movies, and this is one of them.
He disagrees with that, but like I agree with his point, but I feel like he's looking at it through the lens of nostalgia. Like he talked about the Iron Giant and how that was a kids movie, and it was also a really, really good movie. It
was also really dark too.
Yeah, he didn't mention that, but yes, it was very dark. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing about that is like, yeah, it's not like bad kids movies. Like, even if you think that Sonic was bad, it's not like bad kids movies are a new phenomenon.
No, they're not.
Like, do you remember the fucking Transformers movie?
What, the first Transformers movie?
Yeah.
See, I don't actually consider that a bad movie. I consider it more of just a brainless popcorn
flick. Okay, they dance in a circle singing that stupid universal greeting thing.
Oh, never mind that movie.
Yes.
That movie. I'm thinking of Michael Bay's. I'm so sorry.
No, not Michael Bay. I'm talking about the animated one.
Yeah, the one that has only one scene that anybody ever remembers from it, which is actually good. when they're both in Unicron and the fucking song starts playing.
I have to look up the universal greeting now because I don't remember what it is. Okay. Because it's completely ridiculous. They got people to try and say this seriously. Ba weep grogna weep ni ni bong.
Yeah, I definitely think you would weep if you had a Nini Bong.
It's a movie where they say ba weep grogna weep ni ni bong and dance in a circle while singing that because it's the universal greeting. It's so bad. Like that's from the 90s. So like you can't tell me that Bad Kids movies is new.
If you look at the Sonic film, and then you look at any video game movie that was made from the 80s or the 90s, there's only one other video game film I can think of that is even remotely watchable by comparison, and that's the Mortal Kombat film.
Okay.
It's when Matt Walsh is looking at this and doing the whole like it's a kid's film, blah 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 blah. It's not just that. There's other categories that you have to look at for this as well, which is it's a video game film. It's based off of a franchise. What was this? What was the story of the video game that this movie is adapting, Matt? Oh, it was too dark. Then play Sonic Adventure 2. That one has a giant fucking monster that fires out of a capsule that tries to annihilate the entire planet by shoving a space station up its ass. I'm not shitting you. That's what the BioLizard does in Sonic Adventure 2.
Well, I'm also maybe a hot take here, but I'm going to make a case for bad movies for kids.
Okay.
So this is something I've seen with my partner's kids. Is that like their theory of mind is not a thing that people are born with. You have to learn that other people have thoughts and feelings and emotions and experience things when you're not in the room with them.
Yeah.
That's a thing that you have to learn. And it doesn't get fully fleshed out until you're like 7 or 8 years old, maybe even older. And so I've watched my partner's kids go through this thing, and it didn't really happen with my own kids because they just, as soon as you turn any screen on, they just get sucked right into it like zombies. But like my partner's kids, if it's not some mindless action happening at all times, they get bored with it, or they used to get bored with it, and they would just like wander off or whatever. Like we took them to see the Mario movie when it first came out, and that was a nightmare because the younger of the two kids, just like there was too much talking, there was too much dialogue, there was too much, you're supposed to follow a plot and remember what this character is thinking or feeling or whatever, and in order to enjoy the movie. So like they were just bored unless it was like the bike chase scene or the fight scene between Mario and Donkey Kong or whatever. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about the one with Bob Hoskins. I'm talking about the Chris Pine one. Bob Hoskins was drunk the entire time they were filming that. But yeah, no. So like for the younger child, it was a nightmare because they would get bored anytime there wasn't action flashing rapidly happening on screen right away. And so like it was kind of. It was difficult being there with 5 kids, some of whom want to watch the movie and the others want to go home because I'm bored. And so like I can see the appeal of like, now I'm not saying you should put your kids in front of YouTube Kids with the super flashy, grab your attention, keep it for 30 seconds bullshit or whatever. But like, this is why things like Power Rangers exist. It doesn't, like, you don't have time in the show to think about how stupid the show is because it's just trying to keep the kids occupied for 30 minutes.
You do the Akira Toriyama rule of cool that happened with Dragon Ball. The plot matters, but the thing that matters the most is, did it make sense that they got to the next action scene? How do we get to the next action scene ASAP?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Power Rangers is extremely goofy. Yeah, it's extremely goofy, but the kid who couldn't follow the plot of the Mario movie was fine watching Power Rangers. So
And you know what's funny? You end up looking back on shit like Power Rangers and realizing how much plot is in there once you're an adult.
no, because I'd
And
have to
you
rewatch it, and I don't want to sit through that shit. Yeah, but no, like I've watched the kids. So the youngest is now getting to a point where we can take him or take them to more. I don't want to say more mature, but like they would probably enjoy the Mario movie. They would probably enjoy the Mario movie if they saw it now. So like, yeah, there's a reason kids media is bad sometimes, because as adults we want it to make sense, but as kids, making sense doesn't make sense to them. They just want to see the punch punch kick kick. So.
I forget which show it was, but there was a company that did multiple studies on kids' minds, and they basically would put anything they could think of in front of the kids on a screen, and if they looked away for more than 2 seconds, whatever that scene was would get nixed out of the children's programming. And they would do that with everything until they had this like perfectly curated pile of brain
awful.
slop.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Well, we spent half an hour on this tweet, and it's not the one that I said we were going to spend a long time on, so let's move on. Eric Hovind posted a meme. Don't shoot, I'm atheist.
Oh, no.
Prove it. No, you have to prove it. Ha ha ha. Eric doesn't understand how the burden of proof works.
No, he doesn't. Prove I'm atheist. Okay, cool. I believe I am an atheist.
Yeah,
there.
That's all it takes.
I've proved it.
I see what he's going for with this, but like...
Yeah, but he's stupid.
Yeah, he is stupid. But like... So the thing about the burden of proof is it doesn't actually fucking matter unless you are trying to convince the other person of your position. So the reason atheism does not have the burden of proof is not because it's not making a claim. It's because 99 times out of 100, I don't care if you believe in gods or not. Just leave me alone. Whereas the Christian is evangelizing. They want to convince you of God.
Yep.
So if you don't care whether or not they stay Christian, but they want to convince you of their God, then it's like, now, okay, no, I'm not trying to convince you to be an atheist. I just don't believe you. And that's fine. They don't need to give you a reason for that because they're not trying to convince you. So, yeah, burden of proof, not the same in casual discourse as it is in an academic debate or whatever. But yeah, it's the person who is trying to convince other people of their position that has the burden of proof when it comes to casual conversation.
You know, the longer that I spend not dealing with people like Eric Hovind, the more I realize that their opinions don't fucking matter.
Well, the best part about this is the meme is watermarked. This was Darwin to Jesus that posted it originally. And
he's taken more Darwin to Jesus memes.
And Darwin to Jesus is like, when I saw Darwin to Jesus post him, I'm like, oh man, Eric Hovind is so much better than this guy. And now it's like, oh, nope, they're just the same. Apparently I still have my donation bot running. You can still donate to Project Share if you want, but subscribe to my channel. Super chat me. Yay. Patreon.com/Vice Rhino and or whatever the fuck services is.
And whatever the fuck it is.
Patreon.com/Skeptic?
I think it is, probably.
Okay. You think it is. You're bad at call to actions too.
Yeah, I am.
Oh my god, I picked all the text ones. Anyway, Elon announced that he was going to tweak the algorithm to promote more positive and educational content, to which the right wing is like, what the fuck? We came here for free speech, not for curated algorithm thing trying to suppress negativity, blah, 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 blah.
Saw that Facebook is doing something too, right?
Yeah, they're getting rid of fact-checking.
Yep. It's a MAGA wonderland.
Yeah. My decision to stop logging into Facebook seems better and better every day. Wait, we finally got D&D atheists. Yes, and being a cleric and a paladin, we can get away with it. Okay. Wait, are you talking about D&D minus the atheist D&D podcast, which I listen to and is fucking hilarious? He does a fucking backflip and shits himself. Okay, it's hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So my takeaway from this is that Elon took over Twitter and drove away all the people that aren't trolls, and now he's seeing that Twitter's doing shit, and in an attempt to fix it and lure back the people that aren't trolls, he's now driving away the trolls.
Yay! And eventually there will be nobody left to care about Twitter.
Hopefully. Elon regularly retweets misinformation with just interesting. Man does not know what information or positivity is. Yeah, I know his feed is full of the not positive educational stuff that he apparently wants. But yep, I continue to not log on to Twitter except for collecting tweets for this show, and my podcast automatically posts to Twitter when it goes up.
And that decision gets more valuable every day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was actually kind of hard collecting tweets for tonight, because like it's always kind of frustrating when something big and important happens on Twit Tweets night. So like everything, like I'm looking for silly political takes, and it's all, oh my god, everybody stay safe with the fires out in Los Angeles. Like, why? You know, like fucking
You're not wrong, but
fucking End Wokeness is posting about staying safe during a fire. I'm like, okay, it's End Wokeness, fuck them, but like, yeah, stay safe if you're in LA. I can't make fun of that. Like, so god damn it, can't they time these national emergencies better? Although I do have one post that is relevant to that. Spoiler for later.
Oh boy.
Oh, Matt Gaetz says, we are taking your Gulf, Mexico. It's not the only thing he took without consent, is it? Am I
right? Jesus Christ. So, fun fact, and I have no way to prove this to you, but Matt Gaetz apparently had to get snuck through the back of a fucking restaurant, like a bar that important political people tend to go to. Apparently he had to be snuck in the back because of the shit that was coming out about him in Washington. Just better for him.
I can see that. That happened to one of the Supreme Court judges, too.
Like, I have no way of proving that to you other than my friend who was at the bar telling me, hey, by the way, this shit just happened and you won't believe it.
Well, I mean, when it happened to the Supreme Court justice, it made the news. And honestly, people need to keep on them about that. It needs to happen more often.
Yes. What
he
does
must
even
really
think
like the back door, but
Yeah,
here's the thing, like, we're taking your Gulf. Like, renaming it is not taking it.
No, it's not.
Like, what? Okay. So what if the states renames the part that they own, but like Mexico still owns like half of it? So is it going to be like the half Gulf of America and the half Gulf of Mexico?
Now there's just like the Mexican divide or some shit.
This is so stupid. Like, oh, he got elected because of the price of fucking eggs, and now he's like, let's take over Canada and rename the Gulf of Mexico and steal Greenland and Panama Canal. No, that's the America Canal now. Like, fuck. You know what? I am not in favor of becoming the 51st state up here in Canada. However, I will consent on one condition.
Y'all get a proportional vote?
No, I mean, sure, that should just be a default assumption. But no, my condition is that the new supernation that you form when you take over Canada and Mexico and consolidate them into the states is now it's Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So you can abbreviate that to CUM. So I will happily be a part of the great nation of CUM.
I'm already part of the great nation of CUM.
Cheers to that. Here's to the great nation of cum.
Where are we at? Come. What are we drinking?
Cum. I mean, cider.
Apple cumder.
No, this is the Dr. Pepper of ciders.
Oh.
Yeah, it says on the can, it's from the juice of 17 apple varieties.
Oh.
I'm like, I've
multiple different flavors. The most prominent one's probably cherry, but multiple flavors.
It just tastes like an apple. I don't understand the whole like adding more flavors makes it more gooder. Like, no, eventually it just becomes like it's like mixing paints together. Eventually you just get brown or gray.
I mean, for Dr. Pepper, it's mostly that there's just a lot of notes, and then there's cherry.
No, for Dr. Pepper, it's that there's sugar.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, we could label our products that we make in our great nation "Made in Cum."
As I drink my thermos of Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay, I'm not a fan of Dr. Pepper. Here it is. Here's the big long book of a tweet. I broke it up into screenshots. I just wanted to show this on screen for a second, so that if anyone doubts that if anyone thinks that I'm leaving bits out, they can compare it to this. Because that's the whole thing, and see. So anyway, this was on my 10 more things that don't make sense about Christianity video. And so he says, I'm sorry, but this is kind of terrible. First 2 points I can answer and completely dismantle your explanation/argument for both. I'm not sure if this is meant to be some strange parody or a legitimate attempt at intellectual arguments. Okay, well now I'm concerned. He can get rid of, he can dismantle my first 2 points with no effort?
All right.
Oh no.
Let's see where he goes.
So, while I am a Christian, I take no offense at your video or its premise. I watched it hoping to find something that would challenge my beliefs, grow my understanding. I find looking at Christianity from the perspective of non-believers, I think that's supposed to be non-believers, very insightful. That difference in our thinking creates questions that I wouldn't have come up with while speaking to a fellow believer. Commendable. I appreciate that someone would want an outside perspective to see things that they might not necessarily see themselves. I don't think that is true in this case, based on the rest of this comment, but yeah, that's a commendable goal. I really don't mean this as an insult, but I just felt kind of disappointed at the level/lack of a challenge there. Okay, so let's see what he actually has to say. Brain design. Okay, so this was my point that, God designed our brains. He designed the way they work. He designed the shape of the neuro... what are they called? The receptors.
Transmitters?
No, not the transmitters. The receptors.
Okay.
And he designed, your brain releases oxytocin and the feel-good hormones and also the feel-bad hormones and whatever in very specific scenarios. There's a psychologist that... my partner has found out about that one of the things he says that couples that tend to last longer, or no, it's not they last longer, it's the men live longer, is if before leaving for work, they give each other a kiss that is not just a peck on the lips but lasts at least 6 seconds, or a hug that lasts at least 20 seconds, because that's the duration that it takes to get the release of the hormones or whatever, the oxytocin that makes you feel safe and loved and like you belong there or whatever. And so that actually, it creates stress relief. There's all sorts of benefits from that ends up with, on average, people that engage in that behavior will live longer.
Okay.
So that's a very specific thing. So clearly, our brains can release those chemicals in very specific scenarios. So God wants sex before marriage to not be a thing that we do? Okay, don't release the feel-good hormones when you have sex unless you are also married to that person. That's clearly something that our brains are capable of doing.
But they just can't.
But they just don't. Also, the shape of the neurotransmitter receivers... there's a word for it. I can't fucking think of it right now. But the shape of them is what determines which chemicals bind with it or whatever. He could have designed cocaine to not bind with our receptors in our brain. Or he could have designed opiates, that the medical ones that we use, he could have designed them to bind in a way that would relieve our pain without being addictive. He could have done that. Absolutely. That's what he like that he designed the brains, he designed these chemicals. He could have designed them to interact in a way that actually like is beneficial and does not have the downsides, doesn't lead to things like addiction, doesn't lead to substance abuse, and doesn't lead to sinful behaviors or whatever. That was my point there. So, that was my point with brain design. His response to that point is, assuming God exists, he knows infinitely more than us, what with him being omniscient and omnipresent. He himself is the entirety of knowledge and understanding of our reality. You can't presume to understand his motives and intentions with your limited human perception and understanding.
Yes, fuck I can. It's called just doing it.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. This is where I was like, oh, he didn't actually watch my video, because I forget what point it was, but like point number 7 or something, was mysterious ways. The fact that mysterious ways is an excuse that people resort to makes no sense, because it's just a catch-all thought-stopping technique that's like, oh, I don't need to worry about actually answering the point. I can just say mysterious ways as if that did answer the point and move on. And it doesn't matter what the point is.
Mysterious ways thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the point is. It's universally applicable. And so he starts with mysterious ways. Like, okay, so you didn't watch the video. Because that's what you just said.
Yep.
But he does have a follow-up. He says, in regards to liking the things that God has laws against, your argument makes it appear like you haven't read or understand the Bible's basics. We didn't originally like these things. We were tricked into comprehending what good and evil was in the Garden of Eden, right? Before that, Adam and Eve didn't have relations. They had no impure lust or desire for each other, just pure innocent love.
Hold on. How was it impure if they were effectively married to one another?
I know that's a whole other can of worms that I wasn't even going to get into, but we can if you like. So the things our brains are wired to like is a result of that fall of mankind into sin. So the shape of our chemical receptors in our brains and or the various chemicals that interact with them changed because the serpent said, did God actually say that you couldn't eat from the tree? And that physically changed all the receptors in the brain and all the shapes of the chemicals that interact with those receptors. How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
So the things our brains are wired to like is a result of that fall of mankind into sin. The laws are an attempt to teach and guide us back to our pre-fall nature, to the way that God intended us to be. He could have just made us that way.
He could have.
Is it too much to ask that an omnipotent being just does the thing that he wants to do instead of a thing that he ostensibly doesn't want to do?
It is too much. How dare you ask the omnipotent being to use his brain?
He says, as such, God's laws are a guidance for correction, not a contradiction. I never said the laws were a contradiction. I said the fact that things that feel good are sins doesn't make sense. God could have made sins not feel good.
Yeah, he just didn't watch the video.
Yeah, but there's a lot more, though. Then he says, I looked at the titles of the timestamps, and the rest of the points are about the same level. Okay, so you didn't watch the video. I don't think I'll keep watching, but if anyone is legitimately held back by any of these points and or wants to hear better full explanations, please ask and I'll help explain. Yeah, you'll say mysterious ways a bunch, probably, given what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Says, I think the thing that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth and makes me feel a little confrontational is how you're being so casual about people's faiths. It's one thing to tell people it's silly to believe in Christianity when you present good arguments, but when you present arguments that a new Christian find weak, just rubs me the wrong way. Like, okay, well, you didn't even watch the fucking video. You just read the timestamps and assumed you knew what I was going to say. Then, I mean, you wouldn't tell someone to avoid surgery because it's ridiculous and unnecessary when you haven't even taken the time to learn the basics of it. That's just irresponsible. Yeah, but if the surgeon says, hey, I'm going to slice open your flesh with a scalpel, and you say, hey, whoa, nope, I don't like the sound of that, and then you turn around and be like, nope, that can't be how it works. Like, that's what he's doing here. He just saw one thing and was like, nope, I don't like the sound of that, so I'm just turning around and leaving. But, like, that is a thing that surgery involves.
Yeah.
But you got to listen to the rest of the explanation if you want it to actually make sense to you.
You don't understand. We have to put the scalpel in you to get rid of a tumor. Do you know what a tumor is?
Yeah, and when you haven't even taken... you wouldn't tell... also, So he's accusing me of not knowing the basics of Christianity. I was a Christian for most of my life up to this point.
As was I.
So, like, you can't tell me I didn't know the basics when, like, I ran a website doing the exact opposite of what my job is now. I had an evolution is stupid website. Like, that is a thing that I had.
God, what would you actually tell yourself if you went back in time and just had
a
conversation with old Rhino? I know that for me, I have no idea what I would say because I know that I'm an obstinate fuck. So I know anything that I tell myself as an obstinate fuck, I'm just going to be an obstinate fuck about it, but way more infuriating because it's going to be me as like a teenager.
Oh, someone redeemed a hydrate. I should probably drink.
Also, I got a posture check on my end. So
all right.
Thank you for that.
So now this is the part where I went all deep divey. So, says, all right, I heard you talk about privilege, and now I get it. You're one of those woke people. I see why you're going after Christianity now.
You're one of the wokies.
I'm one of the woke. He says, did you know a Christian in the UK was arrested for silently praying in his head outside an abortion clinic praying for his dead son? I actually think he was imprisoned for it. Like, okay. So that is kind of true.
So big if true. Now, where's the context?
That is kind of true. So the UK does have laws about certain activities that you can engage in near abortion clinics. And one of the things that is on the list is praying, whether it be silently or out loud or whatever. Doesn't matter. So if you are just standing outside an abortion clinic praying and silently in your head, basically, so I watched, you can get the body cam. No, it's not body cam. The guy published the footage himself, but like the police that asked him to stop were like the quintessential examples of British politeness.
Oi, 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 you got a license for that?
No, not even that. It was like, I understand that you're praying. I understand that you've lost a son. I'm very sorry for your loss, but it's just, you have to move like 50 meters that way if you want to do it. Like here it's a buffer zone, like certain things like that are, so like, yeah, technically you can't know whether or not someone is actually praying if they're doing it, but if you're just standing outside an abortion clinic for several hours at a time, like holding vigils is one of the things that is outlawed in the buffer zones. Like you can't do protests, you can't, like, it's to keep people feeling safe as they're going in for their health care.
Yeah.
And realistically, you believe that, like, the guy you're praying to is supposed to be omnipotent and omniscient. So it doesn't matter if you're standing beside an abortion facility doing your praying. You can do that at home, and he will still hear those prayers and do whatever the fuck it is you want him to do.
Yeah. You're doing it outside the clinic to be seen.
Yeah. You're doing it to be seen. That is why there are rules against it. He was not imprisoned for it. He was put on probation, and he was fined. So no, he wasn't in prison. So like, yes, he was charged for silently praying in his head. The prayer itself wasn't the problem. It was the location. And he also, like, he freely admitted to the cops that, like, yes, I'm doing this as a form of protest against abortion.
Okay, well, this is a buffer zone. You can't protest here.
You can't do that here. Yeah. Then he says, so don't you dare claim we are privileged and free from persecution without having walked a mile in our shoes. I was a Christian for most of my life, man. I know what those shoes are like.
You also aren't being persecuted in that situation. You're going and seeking a fight and wondering why, when you fucked around, you found out. Yeah. That's what's happening. That's not persecution.
I'm not even saying I fully agree with that law, but like, that is an easy thing to avoid falling afoul of, especially because like the cops gave him so many chances to just be like, okay, I'll move over here to do it. Like, so, like, they did their darndest. Like, he was clearly trying to get arrested for that, just so that he could make a point for this.
He'd have the story.
Like, they were super polite and desperately trying to just get him to move a little. But, yeah. And every other faith has privilege and priority over us today. Islam, for example, gets preferential treatment across the board. Our historical churches, including their medieval gravestones, are being desecrated and destroyed by Muslim communities that buy them and turn them into mosques. Okay. take that sentence at face value. Who's
Okay.
selling the churches to the Muslims if that's happening?
It would be the... So it wouldn't be the Christians. It would be the bank. Technically,
No.
the answer to that is it would be the bank, because the bank would own the church.
If you take it at face value with what he's trying to say, this is an active church. Like, he's trying to paint the picture of like an active Christian church is being
getting
forcibly bought out by
under
the Muslims.
Congregation.
So it's like, no, if Christians don't want their churches turned into mosques, maybe Christians shouldn't sell their churches to Muslims. That, like, at face value, that's the answer. Fun fact, did you know there's a Wikipedia page for non-Muslim places of worship that have been converted into mosques?
Okay.
Do you know what country doesn't even make the list?
The UK.
The UK. It's not on there. And the reason why is because I looked into it. I found a grand total of 3 examples of churches that were going to be turned into mosques.
Okay.
So there's Bradford Methodist Church. This is a news item from September 2023. That church has been vacant since 2020. It was supposed to be turned into housing. Like, it was supposed to turn into like 3 apartments, but that never happened. It's a defunct church. It's no longer in use as a church. They're looking for someone to buy it and turn it into something useful. The local Muslim community bought it with the intention to convert it into a mosque. The city said that they didn't need to approve that because with historic buildings, they've got, like, you don't need approval to if you're going to buy it and keep it for the same use, you don't need to get approval for that. But if you're going to change what the building's being used for, then you do need city approval. And what they said is, because it's still being used as a place of worship, you don't need approval for that.
Seek approval.
So that is basically, the government is stepping aside and being like, we're not saying anything one way or the other religion wise. It's a place of worship. So have at it. So they are not discriminating against Christians there. Neither are they discriminating against Muslims. They're just saying it's a place of worship. Yeah, it was a Christian place of worship before. Now it's a Muslim place of worship. Okay, that's place of worship is a place of worship. So there you go. That's the way it should be, in my opinion. All right, second
At that
church.
point, who cares?
Second church was in a place called Stoke-on-Trent. This news item was from August of 2024. This one, the city did give its approval. They approved it to become a mosque. There are several articles, when you Google this one, pointing out that there is no evidence of disturbance of graves whatsoever, because the church closed in 1985, and when the church closed, all the bodies were exhumed and moved at that time. So there are no graves there to disturb.
Okay.
And again, keep in mind, this is from 2024 that they're trying to turn it into a mosque. The church hasn't been a church since 1985. It's, for the last almost 40 years, it's been an antique shop and a cafe. So these people literally turned a house of prayer into a house of commerce, which is the only thing that Jesus ever used violence to oppose in the Bible.
But when it becomes a Muslim thing, that's when he's bad.
Yeah. So turning it into a house of commerce, that's okay, apparently. A church turning into an antique shop is fine, but a mosque? No, heaven forbid. And on top of that...
That's because sometimes Christians do business, but Christians never do Muslim.
So on top of all that, though, so the city council said, sure, be a mosque. The Muslims bought it. They paid money for it. We now own it. The Church of England, which is a political body in the UK, stepped in and said, no, we don't approve of that. So in this case, they're literally discriminating against Islam in favor of Christianity. The government is discriminating in favor of Christianity to say, no, you can't turn that into a mosque because the church of our country said no, even though everybody else said yes. So I don't know how that's discriminating against Christianity. And the only other example I could find was from way back in 2007. This is the only one that so far has actually turned into a mosque.
Okay.
And it was the town, like they had a public referendum, so the people of the town voted to allow it to become a mosque. For 40 years before 2007, it was a factory. It wasn't a church. They were manufacturing shit in it. And the Muslim community in Clitheroe had, like, they've been looking for somewhere to turn into a mosque unsuccessfully for 40 years. The entire time the church was a factory. They finally got to buy the church and turn it into a mosque for themselves.
Well, there you go. It feels like a non-issue.
Yeah, so it's like, those are the only 3 examples, only one of which actually became a mosque. The other one looks like it probably will, like the Bradford Methodist Church. But so far I couldn't find any details to whether or not they were successful. But like, this all seems fine. It's not like they're buying churches that are currently in use.
No, it's very not the thing that he was describing. This is a bunch of isolated individual incidents, and they're not even incidents. It's natural shit that happens eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah, the church that I grew up attending got turned into a dance studio.
You spent your time going down for Jesus. Now you can get down for Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. He says, and I'm a racist privileged Christian if I merely point out that it makes my heart heavy. No, you're racist privileged Christian if you complain about these 3 instances, only one of which has actually materialized, and misrepresent them, to lie about them, to make Muslims look like they're attacking you somehow by just like legally purchasing property.
You're a racist privileged Christian if you think that there is a racial association with being Muslim.
That too, yeah. I mean,
like...
well, statistically,
actually, there's quite a lot of brown people who are Muslim.
Okay, I accidentally closed it, so let's reopen that. There we go. Oh, why aren't you showing up now? Boop. There we go. And I'm a racist privileged Christian if I merely point out that it makes my heart heavy. Meanwhile, Muslim child rape gangs have been allowed to run rampant for over a quarter of a century, and they get slaps on the wrist because we don't want to offend minorities.
When? Where? How? Give an example.
I didn't want to have that in my Google history, so I didn't even look it up. Like, every time I've looked into anything like that, it's always been like, I don't know, it's always been stuff where like the person did, like, if they were found guilty, they did. There have been other times where they were found not guilty, and the white people are like, no, that's the brown person, so they are guilty. And so yes, that would be racist. So like, I don't know.
Also, if you didn't bring race into it, why is he bringing race into it? That feels like a thing that only happens when you're racist. Like, you only have a knee-jerk reaction to being called a racist if you're just kind of a racist.
Yeah, really. He says, either you're not so bright and fell for woke propaganda, or you know full well what you're doing and are sick in the head. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume the former. Here's the thing.
Or you're right and he's wrong.
Yeah. Well, like, who's the one falling for propaganda? The person who heard about maybe one church having been turned into a mosque one time 10 years ago and turned that into the Muslims are buying all our churches and desecrating their graves and turn them into mosques? Or the person who actually looks into it and is like, no, they're actually just like buying buildings that have not been used as churches for decades and attempting to turn them into mosques, but then are being blocked by the Church of England. Like, I'm actually looking at the facts, whereas this person is just looking at the Fox News propaganda.
So you're looking at the facts and he's looking at the Fox.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Ben Shapiro says elections have consequences and posts a map of Canada as the 51st state, Greenland is Trumpland, Mexico is the other side of the wall, the Gulf of Mexico has been renamed the Gulf of America, and the Atlantic Ocean is the anti-European moat.
So he wants to say that the election's consequences were totally not imperialist United States doing the empire thing is going to do the empire thing.
Remember when Trump said he was going to lower the price of groceries?
Yeah, they're not doing that either.
Yeah, and this is how they distract from that. Like, yeah, he came out and said, I'm not going to be able to lower grocery prices. And everybody was giving him shit for it. And I was like, we should annex Canada. And now everybody's talking about that instead of the groceries and the fact that he was lying on the campaign trail, which, surprise, surprise, liar lied.
It's just what you'd expect to happen.
Yeah, and I love how they're like, Mexico's the other side of the wall. He never built the wall, and he's not going to build the wall again. Oop. Didn't mean to click that. And Donald J. Trump posts, no water in the fire hydrants, no money in FEMA. This is what Joe Biden is leaving me. Thanks, Joe. So he sees a natural disaster happening in Los Angeles and is like, but that means that my FEMA budget is going to be depleted and the fire hydrants are going to be out of water. So if something like that happens on my watch, Joe Biden will have fixed this one and makes me look worse.
He'll blame anything on anybody as long as it's not himself.
He sees a fucking crisis and is like, "Oh, this natural disaster is an attack on me personally."
Yep,
like, what the fuck kind of person thinks like this? A narcissist. That's what kind.
Dolan Tramp does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. So this is one of my channel members. So this is someone who pays me money who, if they see this, they might not anymore. Says, trans women are not women. They are trans women, and that's okay. Trans men are not men. They are trans men, and that's okay. Okay, I get that they're trying to be positive here. Like,
Black women are not women. They're black women, and that's okay.
Yeah,
white women are not
trans
women.
Is the adjective. Women is the noun. If trans women are okay to they are women because that's how the words work.
Alp 5088, I don't know how much you're paying Vice Rhino as a channel member, and I will willingly throw whatever that money is at Vice Rhino on Patreon if need be to make up for your channel membership, so that I can be as insulting as I fucking want. Bigoted Alp isn't an Alp. It's a bigoted Alp, and that's not okay.
So the reason I picked this was the last sentence. Why are atheist channels going so hard on the trans issue?
Because the Christian channels went hard on the trans issue. That's why.
Well,
it's reactive.
So I saw this comment right around the time that J.K. Rowling posted for the first time that trans kids don't exist. I have a trans kid who grew up reading Harry Potter and loves Harry Potter. So to find out that someone that, like, one of their favorite authors who is so integral to their childhood and like these stories that they enjoyed as a kid thinks that they don't exist. They are not valid as a human being. They are twisted or sick somehow because they exist in a state that that person doesn't personally feel is valid. That pisses me the fuck off. So, yeah, I feel like defending my children. That's why I go hard on the trans issue, because it is personal to me. And if you don't understand that, then that's a you problem.
I can't speak for every atheist channel. As for me, I have friends who are trans, and also Christian bigots happen to be anti-trans. So here we are.
Also, because we give a crap about people, Dark Falcon says,
we give a shit about people.
So if you go back in my archives, you can see I've been vocally pro-trans since before my kids came out as trans. So yeah, this has always been just like, I care about people. So why are these people treating them like shit? Okay, I will push back on that because that's my job. Like that's literally my job as a YouTuber. I push back on people saying incorrect things. And I feel better about my job when I do it in a way that can actually make a positive difference in some people's lives. That's why anytime the subject comes up, I make it a point to shout out the aces, because the aces are often forgotten about in LGBTQ discussions, and I know that there are a bunch of them that really appreciate just being recognized. So I do that because it's like, it's so fucking easy. Why would I not do something to make people happy? Because I just care about people. Okay. I got lucky. I read Animorphs and K. Applegate as pro-trans. I remember Animorphs vaguely. I didn't read most of them, but I did read a lot of them. And I don't remember the TV show at all. I remember that there was a TV show. So, yeah, let's wait for Serge to get back before we go to the next one. If there is a next one. There is. Those books get so weird. Yeah, it's about child soldiers or some shit. I don't remember any of that, but I know that that's the thing. You back? I saw your avatar wiggle.
Okay, I am back. I need to use the restroom real quick.
Hi, back. I'm Vice Rhino.
Hi, Vice Rhino. I'm Dad.
American Alpha says, okay, this one I picked because I know you've seen
this
the
person because their name is Alpha.
Yeah. So TV show The Boys. This is from back in June, so this is an old one, but like George Takei posted a thing about it, so I saw it and was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Okay.
So TV show The Boys used to be one of my favorites, pointing out the elite's evil tendencies in the form of superheroes. Now it pivots to say Trump people bad, other people good, along with every scene injecting woke nonsense, new strong,
have you realized that
new strong, smart female black character.
Have you realized that the elites are also propped up by their sycophants, and Trump people are the sycophants, and Trump is one of the elites. He's worth multiple billions of dollars, and he's literally in control of the country.
He's put more billionaires into positions of power than anyone else.
I'm sorry, but he is the elite in every way, shape, and form.
But apparently the boys have been like poking fun at the right wing the entire time.
Yes, they have. It's always been anti-right wing from episode 1.
And it took them to season 3 or 4 or whatever to figure it out. I don't know. I still haven't watched it.
So, have you seen the Book of Mormon? Or listened to the Book of Mormon?
No, I want to, but I missed it last time it was in Toronto.
Okay. So, do you at least know the song I'm Elder Price, or Hello, I'm Elder Price?
I am aware of it vaguely, but I don't think I've ever... See, that's the thing. Until I see the show, I don't want to listen to the songs because then it'll be spoiled for me.
Because it's a musical, so you'll know everything from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to start singing Hello, my name is Elder Price. But in the last season of The Boys, there was a whole musical number with the singer from Hello, My Name is Elder Price called Put the Christ Back in Christmas. And it is an earworm that has been in my head forever. Just seeing a black Jesus come down and go, whatever the hell the woke may bring. Fucking great.
My partner almost made me buy a Black Santa home sense the other day.
I don't know what a home sense is.
It's a store where you can buy all sorts of weird nonsense.
Yeah. Specious Demina says, I read the comic. I have great news for you. The comic sucks ass shit. The series is great.
So Home Sense is a store that you go to when you want to find a cat figurine that instead of being printed with like the image of a cat on it, it would be like just a repeat of Van Gogh's self-portrait as like a texture on a cat-shaped body. I don't know why anyone would want that, but that is a thing that was at Home Sense when we were there.
Okay.
I also got a nameplate for my desk that was like infinitely overqualified or something like that.
Autodidactically overqualified.
Something like that. I forget exactly what it says. I need it for my next video though, so I better be able to find it in these boxes. Okay, that's it. We done.
Pivoting to say that the smart black character is a fucking villain. She's evil. Why do we
Okay,
care that
but
there's a
she's still
smart black character?
Because black is woke.
You're right.
Black people
black
existing is woke, especially if they're smart and capable.
You know what's funny? People complain that representation doesn't matter in games, but then also complain about black people being overrepresented in games. Yeah. But then also
if representation doesn't matter, then why does it matter if there are less white people in games?
But then they complain that white people are being replaced in real life via Great Replacement. We're dying to fucking. Apparently, we've had to fuck too many black people, and it's been bad for us genetically for some reason.
Just fucking people are people. Just let the immigrants in. Human beings are human beings. Just like whatever.
But you don't understand.
The birth rate's such that you need immigration. So fuck off.
But if they're right that the whites are all being replaced, then
eventually there will be less white people, and it's fine.
Then eventually that representation in the games isn't over-representation at all.
Then, no,
it sucks to be them.
If you know what, if all the white people get replaced, then there will be more black people that know how to play the bagpipes. Okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't need to be pale to play bagpipes.
Also, why is it that all libertarian guys want Japanese girlfriends? That's really weird and feels just as racist as hating black people.
I mean,
have you not seen that stereotype?
I haven't heard it laid out explicitly, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, no, that tracks. But I would push back on that a little and say maybe 3/4 of them want Japanese girlfriends, whereas the other 1/4 secretly want trans girlfriends and are trying not to say it.
They're just like, hey man, I'm just really into femboys, okay? I'm just really into femboys. I'm so angry that my favorite femboy came out as a trans girl. Have you seen that shit with Finster? People actually got angry when they were like,
who Finster is.
Finster is a very, very large streamer who started cross-dressing on stream, had a bunch of like redeems where the cross-dressing would happen, and people paid thousands of dollars for Finster to cross-dress, and eventually Finster just came out as trans and was like, hey, by the way, I've been taking hormones for like 6 months. And it was a huge thing, and people got pissed at Finster because their favorite femboy was now a girl.
If you guys want to pay me thousands of dollars, I'll cross-dress, and I will not come out as a girl later. But I will put on a dress for thousands of dollars. You know what? I have done worse for less.
I think the word for that is skag.
Okay. I'm not going to Google that.
Yes, you are.
Nope.
You're going to get curious.
Nope. I'm going to forget what that word is.
You're going to forget the word skag?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. On that note, fuck off.